Assalamu alaikum everyone from another episode of Embracing Ramadan. When the month of Rajab comes, mu'mins make the following dua. Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. This is how usually Muslims start getting ready for Ramadan. And once we reach Ramadan, we welcome it by reading Quran. And just like how the endings make us feel like it only lasted for a blink of an eye, the holy month Ramadan also comes to an end that quickly. Ramadan leaves us with a peaceful heart, and Eid consists of the beautiful memories Ramadan left us with. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and now we're starting our program.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تحيتهم يوم يلقونه سلام وأعد لهم أجرا كريما. يا أيها النبي يا أيها النبي يا إنا أرسلناك شاهدا إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. يا أيها النبي إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا. وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا.
يا جميل يا الله يا قريب يا الله يا مجيب يا الله يا حبيب يا الله يا رؤوف يا الله يا عطوف يا الله يا معروف يا الله يا لطيف يا الله يا عظيم يا الله يا حنان يا الله يا منان يا الله يا ديان يا الله يا سبحان يا الله يا أمان يا الله يا برهان يا الله يا سلطان يا الله يا مستعان يا الله يا محسن يا الله يا متعالي يا الله يا رحمن يا الله يا رحيم يا الله يا كريم يا الله يا مجيد يا الله يا فرد يا الله يا وتر يا الله يا أحد يا الله يا صمد يا الله يا محمود يا الله يا صادق الوعد يا الله يا علي يا الله يا غني يا الله يا شافي يا الله يا كافي يا الله يا معافي يا الله يا باقي يا الله يا هادي يا الله يا قادر يا الله يا ساتر يا الله يا قهار يا الله يا جبار يا الله يا غفار يا الله يا فتاح يا الله.
Kids, we're almost done with Ramadan, so good job to you if you fasted during this month. Today we're having a great art, and our art is going to be based on Allah's name, Al-Musawwir. Al-Musawwir means the shaper of beauty, the one who is fashioner and former of each and everything of all creation. He has bestowed forms, and not by way of copying. Every single thing is unique. He has given everything a special manner whereby it is distinguished. In Surah Al-Hashr, verse 24, it says the following: هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. He is Allah, the creator, the inventor, the fashioner. To him belong the best names. Whatever is in the heavens and earth is exalting him, and he is exalted in minds, the wise. Ameen. Now we are watching our art.
My name is Zaihan and I'd like to welcome all of you to the Kids Corner of Ramadan TV. Today we will learn the name Al-Musawwir. That means Allah is the designer. That means He creates everything in a perfect shape and a perfect form. And today's craft is this rainbow craft. To see how we keep watching.
Assalamualaikum. Welcome everyone to Speaker's Corner once again. Hope you are all doing well this unique Ramadan. As we know, most of the Muslim scholars emphasize on the crisis of unity and ummatic attitude and putting effort on finding solutions. Said Nursi is one of the remarkable ones. Today, we will talk about Bediuzzaman Said Nursi and his remarkable contribution to the Islam and Muslims with Dr. Zeki Sarıtoprak. Dr. Zeki Sarıtoprak is the Nursi Chair in Islamic Studies and professor in the Department of Theology and Religious Studies at John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio. He is the author of Islamic Spirituality and also best known for his book, Islam's Jesus. Dr. Sarıtoprak, welcome.
Thank you, Femi, and thank you, Emine. It's a great honor to be on your program. And I will be glad to answer any question that you have.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to have you. Also, I have Sister Emine Betul to co-host the program. Welcome, Emine Betul.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Sarıtoprak, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Sarıtoprak, I would like to start with this first question. Said Nursi is known as one of the most influential figures of the 20th century and dedicated his life to reviving faith. Please tell us a little bit more who is Said Nursi and what are his teachings mainly focused on?
I think Said Nursi, his full name is Bediuzzaman Said Nursi, is one of the most important figures in the 20th century. A very prolific author. He wrote more than 130 books. In the Islamic world, to a certain extent, I would say in Egypt, he is a little bit known, but even in the Islamic world, he is not known enough. I think he deserves much more attention. So if I say who is Said Nursi, if we respond to this, he is an Islamic scholar. In the beginning of the 20th century, he witnessed the horrific World War I. So he had that experience. He participated. He was part of it because the Ottoman Empire was part of it. And he was taken as a prisoner of war. And then after the Soviet Revolution in 1917, he left the prison and he came back to the Ottoman Empire, and then the Ottoman Empire collapsed. And he started to dedicate himself to the writing that he called them the treatises of light, Recitation, the treatises of light. And basically, each treatise would deal with one of Islamic topics. For example, one of the major things that he would elaborate on, he says the concept of the Quran. What is the Quran? So he dedicated a treatise to the Quran. He dedicated a treatise to the concept of afterlife. He dedicated a treatise to the concept of spirit. He dedicated a treatise to the concept of angels. So in a way that he says, my goal is to address the mind of contemporary people.
So how you can summarize what are Said Nursi's teachings on the people of the book?
I would say dialogue, cooperation, and in his own term, alliance. Alliance to come together for the betterment of society.
Thank you, Dr. Sarıtoprak. So as you have said, Said Nursi witnessed war. Could you please briefly tell us about the relationship between Islam and politics in the light of Said Nursi's writings?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Now, in the beginning of his life, he thought that there will be, kind of benefits of politics. We have some kids at the back, they are crying, I think. I hope it's not bothering. He thought that politics could be really beneficial for the future of humanity, for Islam, and he intended to be part of politics. But one event, he says, totally changed his mind. And that is the politics that causes polarization and division in the community. You know, even if the person is an angel-like person, if it is in the opposition, he becomes an evil. And even if the person is an evil person, he is in the party that you are in, that person becomes like an angel. When I saw this, he says, I avoided politics. And he coined his famous statement, A'udhu billahi minash shaitani wa siyasah. I take refuge in God from Satan and politics. He has a term called as-siyasa al-shar'iyya, which is Islamic positive politics that is serving human beings. And there is a very profound statement of the Prophet which says that the best of the community are those who are serving them. So basically, if the politics based on service, that will be acceptable by Nursi. As we know, short name, we call him Nursi. Bediuzzaman Said Nursi is the full name. Said Nursi sometimes is used, sometimes just Nursi. So for Nursi, because of those polarization in politics, he avoided politics. He is not inherently against politics. And I would say he is against political Islamism, to make politics as a kind of instrument for Islamic ideology. Islam not as a religion, Islam as an ideology. He is against that. And he says, when you say, you know, when you make Islam as your ideology, there are many Muslims who are not in your party. So you immediately put them on the other side. And that you makes a division in the Islamic community. And therefore he says that is not appropriate.
Thank you, Dr. Sarıtoprak. That was very thorough and informative. As we know, positive action, or in Turkish known as müsbet hareket, is one of Nursi's main teachings, and it was practiced by himself throughout his life. For a better understanding, how would you clarify Nursi's positive action, müsbet hareket, and ethics of nonviolence? Or in other words, what does jihad mean in Said Nursi's perspective?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The first part of the question, I would say, Nursi was not known as a person of nonviolence in the West, despite the fact that he was, advocating for nonviolence. And Nursi says, brothers and sisters, from this time on, the jihad is to be a spiritual jihad. The jihad of sword is no longer valid. That is ended. And that's why the sword is sisheth, is put in the cover. And no one has right to unsheath the sword. It should not be taken out of its cover anymore. And the reason for this, he says, and I think is very understandable, because this violence, God forbid, if these chemical weapons become in the hands of some violent people, some vicious people, imagine what will happen. And Nursi said, that's why no violence, no jihad of sword anymore. The only jihad is a spiritual jihad. That is the jihad of this time, this century. And that's what he emphasized, and that's why he uses the term musbet hareket. Musbet hareket means positive action. He says, no sword to be used anymore, but there is one sword to be used. What is that? He says, the diamond sword of the Quran. The diamond sword of the Quran. What is that? The proofs of the Quran. And the Quran challenges people. It says, if you have doubt about this Quran, bring an example of it. An example like it. That Nursi said that is a proof. This is a diamond proof of the Quran. And that's why in his book on the Quran, he emphasized the miracles of the Quran. He says the job of Muslims in modern day is to show this to people, not to be violent.
Dr. Zeki Sarıtoprak, thank you very much for joining us again.
Thank you.
Dr. Zeki Sarıtoprak from John Carroll University join us today. We talk about Bediuzzaman Said Nursi and his remarkable contribution to the Islam and Muslims. Thank you for joining us. See you tomorrow. Happy Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum. Going back to the topic of fiber, as we were talking about in the last video, what is the benefit of fiber? What does fiber even mean? Fiber actually is that undigestible part of the food item which will help the gut function better, which will give bulk to your food, which means people who will eat an apple will take longer not only to eat it, but will also become full quicker as opposed to somebody who eats 2 donuts. Because apple will have fiber, it will have bulk, it will have certain things like phytochemicals and antioxidants, and these are technical names. What they do is, these are things present in the natural state in most fruits and vegetables, that they actually reduce the risk of cancer developing. They also give you a sense of well-being because they function in a lot of enzymes that are present in the body, and those enzymes need to be, if you like, replenished on a regular basis. So many of these enzymes are actually replaced by vegetables and fruits which have some of the natural precursors of these enzymes. Whereas these artificially made substances or processed foods, as I was calling them, don't have any of them. So number one, you have the advantage of something that gives you these natural anti-cancer substances, these natural mood elevating substances, for example, and there are some other benefits which you don't even know. As I said, the second advantage is the fiber that is present in the fruits and vegetables in particular tends to bulk the person's diet, so they don't need to eat that much because that bulk will make you feel full. Also, because it takes longer to chew, it will actually make you it will actually allow the brain to realize that the stomach is full. The transit time or the latent time, the time that it takes for the stomach to tell the brain that I'm full, is about 20 minutes. So when people eat very rapidly, you can imagine that the stomach gets full much sooner than it can actually tell the brain. Whereas if you ate slower and if you contemplated eating healthier, you do these several advantages. You eat fiber, which helps your gut function better. You eat fiber, which avoids cancer. There's no question about it. There's a lot of research out there for it. You also eat antioxidants and phytochemicals and other advantageous things that chew up the free radicals that cause some of the cancers that we know about. And lastly, you will have a avoidance of a lot of diseases in general, like constipation, for example, because you have a very good function of the gut now. You also get less gaseous production, which also is a source of aggravation for people during and after Ramadan. Inshallah, I hope these tips were helpful. Until the next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم اللهم اغفر أمة محمد اللهم اغفر أمة محمد اللهم اغفر أمة محمد اللهم ارحم أمة محمد اللهم عظم أمة محمد اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمون في كل أنحاء العالم واشرح صدورنا وصدور عبادك اللهم انصر أمة محمد اللهم انصرنا على أعدائنا اللهم انصرنا على أعدائك اللهم انصرنا على أعداء الدين اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير اللهم وفقنا إلى ما تحب وترضى واستخدم لنا في هذا الشأن محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير اللهم اغفر أمة محمد اللهم اغفر أمة محمد اللهم اغفر أمة محمد لا سيما إخواننا وأخواتنا في كل أنحاء العالم وفي كل بلاد المسلمين وفي كل نواحي الحياة ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا واجعلنا مسلمين لك ومن ذريتنا أمة مسلمة لك وأرنا مناسكنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا ربنا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Nowadays, we're having very mixed feelings. The sadness coming from the departure of Ramadan and the joy felt because of the excitement of Eid. Alhamdulillah that we could reach the end of Ramadan altogether. Alhamdulillah that we could benefit from it. It is true that COVID-19 blocked our plans, but really increased our mindfulness. It gave us some alone time to exercise self-reflexivity. Thank you for having us in your houses today. Enjoy the last 2 days of Ramadan. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you tomorrow.